Welcome back. You are right in time for the People and Politics. It's Tuesday, the 8th day of June 2021. Let's talk about matters affecting you in the country and, of course, across our borders. This is going to be a debate. Let's talk about socio-economic issues. Let's talk about politics as well, and so many issues that you need to know. And the only place to know them is here on KBC Channel 1. You can reach me on my Twitter handle at Victor Oloo. You can reach me as well on my social media at Victor Oloo. That is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Let's have a discussion. Send in your questions, comments, and we'll be sampling them during and at the tail end of this program. As always, I'm privileged to have one gentleman in studio. I have got Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is an economist by profession, by the way. He's a doctor by profession. Daktari, good morning. Good to see you.
Morning.
All right, absolutely. And via Zoom, I'm joined by Dr. Joseph Simekha, who is joining me via Zoom from Vihiga County. We have got Dr. Joseph. All right, and of course we have Dr. David Matsanga, who is also joining me via Zoom, and we will be discussing matters affecting you, and you have just to sit out there. Let's talk about issues and start with the current one. We have got the Parliament going to have their sittings today resume after a short recess, and ahead of the budget that is going to be read on Thursday. And of course, being a national event, let's talk about budget for a minute today. Daktari, it's going to be a budget like no other, with the public debt grew by 1.06 trillion shillings during the corona pandemic. It's the biggest and also overwhelming. Let's talk about what is your expectation come Thursday as far as the budget estimates is concerned. First of all, good morning and good to see you.
Good morning, Oloo.
Right.
I'm happy this morning. This morning, thank you, Oloo, for talking, or you want us to discuss about the budget. As if we have the preliminaries of what has been proposed in our 2020-2021 budget, yes. Oloo, I can say it is a very ambitious budget. Ambitious budget in the sense that it is talking about 3.6 trillion shillings. And you also know, Oloo, despite the fact that we are talking big about what the expectation that we are expecting as a country, 3.6 trillion to achieve is a tall order. Yet the government has put in place structures and measures that will enable the country to get that money. But much of it, yes, I believe, because this country can only raise hardly 1.7 trillion or 1.8 at most. And going by that, although, you know, at this time we are also struggling with the issues to do with economic depression that we are experiencing. The economy has gone down, so much. And then also couple up with the pandemic, corona, that is actually has taken a toll of our economy. So in this case, looking by it, the budget itself is very good in hearing or listening, and it is also very difficult to achieve. Looking by it, as we go to deep, Mr. Oloo, the government is planning to bump 370 billion shillings to the county governments come the next financial year. And also we have about 17 billion shillings bumped into the judiciary, which is actually a peanut according to the expectation that the judiciary has been longing to have.
Yeah, yes.
And we have Parliament bumping over 37 billion. And then going by it, one may actually ask, Mr. Oloo, where is it that the Parliament requires 37 billion shillings as compared to 17 billion shillings that they have actually planned for the judiciary? And according to my own observation, the much anticipated development of the infrastructural facilities, yes, in the judiciary may not be possible, right, as per this budget, because, and I even don't know whether this budget, the budgetary process, include the proposal from the judiciary to be able to capture the real issues that are happening, because we have had the problems, not necessarily the shortage of charges. We have had also the problem of shortages of facilities. How many courts do we have in this country? How many regions enjoy modern courts? So in this case, we have that challenge. And going by this budget, Oloo, I at least expect that there will be much to be done by the judiciary, and the budget is suffocative.
It's
in nature.
And in terms of how it's going to affect the common mwananchi.
It will affect the common mwananchi,
Right.
because there will be so many cases pending in the courts. Because money is an issue that is required everywhere law. For facilitation of fast tracking some of the measures that are implemented in the courts, they must have money to do that. So in this case, how many manpower the courts can engage to fast track most of the cases that are backlog, over 18,000 cases pending for over years. So in this case, if we were really bold enough as a government, we would have been able to maybe deny the parliament some package, giving even the judiciary something like 25 billion, and then reduce the parliament budget into a sizable of about 30 billion. So in this case, we would have done some justice, but according to me, I'm seeing the judiciary is being suffocated financially.
And of course, it's rising from 3.3 billion shillings to 3.6 billion shillings. And of course, Wanjiku is going to be digging deep into his pocket to fund the bill.
How much of this money, Oloo, will translate into funding to the small entrepreneur, and I mean SMEs,
SMEs, yes.
And then we talk about the common one, Wanjiku on the ground.
Right.
The only money that I'm seeing, the viable money that is that is visible,
right,
is the money that goes to the county governments. Because I mean, having 370 billion being bumped into the county government, so it will depend so much on how the county government will use this money.
Right.
If they will use it prudently, yes, the money will reach the smallest man on the ground. And of course, when it comes to business, of course, we would wish to know how much money will be pumped into SMEs, or how can we capacitate? I mean, financially, the small scale, the small scale industries, and the small scale businesses or micro enterprise development. In this case, that will bump. You know, Oloo, during the pandemic, most of the business units have actually closed down. And even those businesses which are still struggling, like now we have the hospitality and area sector, tourism sector, which is actually is struggling to emerge. In this case, many hotels have actually closed down. So where do we expect the small man to grow up? Because the success of these hotels will also make the farmers, actually, it will lead to the success of farmers. Why? It has a multiplier effect. What we consume in the hotels are I mean, the things which come from our farms. So in this case, the death of the hotels will also translate the death of the common man. I mean, even the farmers. So in this case, I think the government will have to do a lot of extra work to pump some of the resources to revamp the economy that is in debris, as we are talking now.
How creative do you think Ukur Yatani is going to be, having in mind that most of the SMEs that used to fund and the small medium enterprises are the ones that used to fund the entire budget of the country, and we have got Corona here and the post-Corona, and we have got big for agenda to be accomplished. How is Ukur Yatani going to balance the act? And for him to be creative to fund the budget.
Although almost 67% of the contribution to our GDP comes from the small informal sector. So in this case, if we do a bigger budget to this small sector, we are also expecting to reap back from the same sector. So in this case, when we talk about equipping or rather empowering the SMEs, it means that we are equipping ourselves, because the same money that will go to the SMEs, the moment we empower them, they will recultivate back in form of taxes, and the government will be able to reap from the same SMEs. So in this case, I think the government should be very strategic, so that wherever we are putting the money, it should be where the money will come back. In form of taxes. So the government has a higher task. I was also getting to know, Oloo, that even our KRA collections has not been very good. So in this case, I think that those are the areas that the government must improve, the loopholes that are there in the KRA that has reduced the collection of revenue in this, years that we have now experienced.
Yes.
So if the collection will be very poor, if most of our people are left out of the bracket of taxation,
yes,
and we expect to increase our capacity, and of course, let me tell you, paying taxes ni kuchitegemea.
Okay.
If we
All
pay
right.
taxes as a country,
okay,
we are going to reap out of the same.
Okay, all right. Let me just bring in Dr. Matsanga here. Dr. Once again, good morning and good to see you. It's a busy week for Parliament. Of course, they're resuming their sittings today after a very short recess. And, you know, the BBI issue is off their plate right now, and we are now talking about issues economy. Ukur Yatani is said to read his budget for the financial year 2021-2022, and the budget is deemed to increase. The question here that I'm asking Dr. Rotich is that how is Ukur Yatani going to raise the 3.6 trillion shillings budget?
Thank you very much, Dr. Rotich, and thank you very much, Oloo.
Sure.
Victor, let me tell you, the pandemic has thrown the world into different directions. Let's begin by accepting that first. If we accept that, then we won't complain, even the little we have. We should be very grateful to God.
Yes.
And I will use Exodus 3, verse 12. When the children of Israel reached Canaan, or before reaching Canaan, they started doubting Moses, telling Moses, you see what you have done. You see, but Moses said, look, we are here, we are even better. We are better off than being under Pharaoh. Let's persevere and go ahead. I'm using this chapter because I want people to understand that the situation currently, anybody, any economist, anyone on planet Earth will tell you that many countries are facing the challenges that Kenya is facing today. Therefore, the budget is in proportion with the difficulties on the ground. The budget is in proportion with the infrastructure that has been put on the ground. Believe me or not, I can see Dr. Rotich touch. You see, let's not be very paracho on touching on things that incite the public, that judiciary has been given very little. Is it only judiciary that Kenyans are going to talk about? Because I know why Dr. Rotich is touching that, but not the debate for today. But I'm very observant on my thinking when somebody talks of the SMEs. Uhuru Kenyatta has created more SMEs than any other government. Show me. Yes, Kibaki tried to create SMEs, but Uhuru Kenyatta has put incentives for SMEs. In fact, if we had handled the SMEs and the small manufacturing cottage industries, the new president, whoever you want to elect in Kenya, would march very fast to State House if we had followed Kenyatta's SMEs policy of economics. Point number 3. Let me tell you, 3.6 trillion. There are countries that are making 20 trillion of your money. I don't want to give an example, but Victor, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
You are lucky you have an economy. You still have a stable economy. It has not burst. It has not gone under. It is not under receivership. It is in the pipeline, being repaired, it is coming back. It will come back. The only problem that Kenya faces, and I want to make this very clear, to Rotich, you can talk, you can criticize Uhuru Kenyatta or that minister of finance, or you can the budget. The problem of Kenya remains like the problem of every African country, corruption. Me, I don't mind even if the budget was 5 trillion. But if we seal the loopholes of corruption, which BBI is trying to seal, why people are running away, they want to block BBI, it's because it is trying to seal corruption. And Simekha was one of the people, the promoters of BBI. He knows what they talked about. He collected the views around the country.
Okay.
You will support me on this. So the biggest problem, you gave Rotich a lot of time. Victor, give me a second to finish. The biggest problem of Kenya today is corruption. If Kenyans can seal the loopholes on how they steal the money, how they take the money out of the coffers, how they make, kickbacks, how they are paid in foreign countries, how kickbacks are paid in foreign accounts, how they collect this money and buy helicopters, we shall be very, very, the world Africa, the East Africa will be very good.
Right, yes, okay. So we're just talking about the issue of how it's going to affect, of course, proposals to change tax and, of course, some models for various commodities. Dr. Joseph, Dr. Matsanga has just talked about issues with corruption and SMEs and what have you. Before I come to you, let me talk to Simekha. Simekha, down there, Wanjiku is going to have a lot of taxes, and of course the proposals to change tax models for various commodities, coupled with the increase in fuel products, is actually going to raise the budget ceiling, so that it's going to empty most of the pockets. How do you think Wanjiku is going to cope up with the 2021-2022 budget read on Thursday?
In my opinion, in my observation, to the best of my knowledge, we will continue to, and I'm one of the Wanjiku you're talking about.
Right,
we will
yes.
continue to experience the decline we have experienced in this country economically since 2013. We will see certain flashes of mega projects here and there. We will hear GDP statistics rattled off the fingers here and there, but we will hardly see, rather I should say, any of these things translate into improved livelihoods, quality of livelihoods. Mr. Oloo, I'm not a numbers person, so I'm a qualitative person. And I believe the budget policy statement is just as an important pointer as the figures that you put on the table for us to consider. And when you look at that, which I have read, when you look at that and the areas you point out, I point you out 3 things that worry me terribly.
Yes.
The first one is the issues of taxation, which actually you've just talked about. The fact that it appears that the executive, they have done so arbitrarily, but now they are pushing for it to happen through policy, to hand over taxation powers to a body whose role is only implementation, an agent. Yes. Actually. You know, Kenya Revenue Authority is an agent.
Yes.
Taxation, the ideology behind taxation is for sovereign citizens to tax themselves so that they can fund their own development. And how do they do this? They do this through their representative assemblies, their parliament, National Assembly and Senate, as well as their county assemblies. That is where it must stay, taxation policy. So some of the proposals you have there, which sound like Ukuri Yatani wants to hand over a taxation policy powers rather, to Kenya Revenue Authority, to Treasury, to himself, whoever is in charge. I think it's an affront to democracy, an affront to the Constitution of the Republic, and an affront to the sovereignty of the people of Kenya. Then you can go into the details of how this will have an effect on citizens, which will take me to the second and final thing. And Dr. Matsanga has talked about it. Looting, stealing, corruption. I actually agree with him that we could even have a 4 trillion budget, 5 trillion budget. And yes. I believe Kenya could afford, but only if we have a political and governance system that has integrity, that is going to ensure that we have distribution to everybody. Distribution in terms of involvement in production, opportunities for involvement in production by all Kenyans equitably, and opportunities to benefit from that production by all Kenyans.
Yes.
But for as long as we have an exclusive group in control of factors of production, in control of the fruits of the economy, with the support of transnational capital, we will not realize that, and therefore Wanjiku, the person you refer to as Wanjiku,
Yes.
will suffer immensely, in fact, disproportionately, in terms of contributing to tax resources vis-a-vis benefiting from the economy, what those
Right.
taxes fund. And then
Yes.
thirdly and finally, together with the looting and stealing, which happens at national level as well as in counties, is the borrowing. Not a problem with borrowing, not at all, that we have to borrow to develop, but that we borrow to steal that most of that money. The fact that that money is borrowed to be stolen, a lot of it is borrowed to be stolen, is
Yes.
a huge affront to the Wanjiku that you're talking about, to the sovereignty of the citizens of Kenya. When we don't have control over our resources, we don't have
Yes.
control of our finances, we really cannot talk about being sovereign. So when we are losing through borrowed monies that are stolen, which then we pay, when we are having a looting going on at national level and county level, then whether you talk of a 3 trillion budget or a 6 trillion budget, we
Yes.
still in the rat, we still remain in the hole. And therefore the problem is so much more with policy and our character than the figures, the numbers that we will be seeing, or already we are seeing in the budget.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Simekha. And of course, that
read on Thursday, and the Parliament is resuming its sitting today after a very short recess, and of course in their tray is to discuss that issue and how it's going to affect Wanjiku, that is you and I. That will be done on a Thursday. All right. It's a 3.6 trillion shillings budget for the financial year 2021-2022. Gentlemen, allow me to shift gears here briefly, and let's talk about a debate that has been raging and how it's going to be affecting. The president the other day appointed 34 judges, and 6 remained, and still a matter before courts. Now, let's talk about how that's going to affect the judiciary in terms of how it's going to be handling its services. Let me start with you here, Dr. Rotich. The president left 6 judges, and the petitioners are still coming out thick and fast. How will it bend? Will the president bend to the pressure based on this, whatever is happening in the corridor of justice right now?
I think before I answer that, Oloo,
yes,
there is something that I wanted to touch on, briefly on the budget.
Kindly.
Our budget, as it is, 3.6 trillion shillings.
Yes.
I say to achieve that is a tall order, and the government will strive. And I know much of it. If we can raise 1.4 trillion to 1.7 trillion, that means much of what we shall be using is through borrowing. We have the infrastructure that is yet to be completed. We have education that is ongoing. We have health that is crippled with all sorts of things, inclusive of the pandemic. We have agriculture that we must satisfy our country. So in this case, the budget itself will go a long way in improving all these sectors.
Yeah.
And you know very well that this country has invested. I mean, I don't want us so much to talk about corruption. We have talked severally. Always, in every discussion, we have corruption.
Yes.
And the more we talk, the more we witness corruptions in every sector. In this case, how shall we end this pandemic called corruption, which is even more dangerous than the COVID? So in this case, I think it is for the Kenyans to decide as to, because it is about moral. It's about us Kenyans. It's about abhorring the whole idea. It's about refusing. So in this case, we need to go back to our drawing board and discuss about what can we do to get rid of this corruption. About your case, the judiciary, Oloo, I don't want to believe that it has been under attacks. I don't want to believe that way. What His Excellency has done, he heard the report, he was briefing to the reports of some of the churches that they were facing integrity issues, and that being part of the man at the helm, a custodian of our constitution, and also the executive part or arm of the government.
Yes.
So he explained that he could not do it because in his conscience, he knew that some of these charges were not credible enough. The only unfortunate thing that happened, Oloo, is that according to the JSC, regulations, once they have appointed anybody, the work of the president is to stamp. He may act like a conveyor belt. But that is what His Excellency the President refused and said, I cannot endorse something that I know it is not clean. So it is about the law that is being breached. So in this case, going forward, I'm not seeing any danger in our judiciary because what has happened, we have already 34 charges, which we never had. So it is a plus to the right direction. It is actually a way forward. It's a plus to what we have been having. You know, these charges have been there for the last 2 years.
Yes.
Now we have 6 minus 40, even though the one passed on, which is actually, it was unfortunate before actually saw the day. But in this case, Oloo, those who have come up and criticized the whole process, they are very right because they are reading the Constitution. What does the Constitution say about all these things?
Yes.
And if we are the law-abiding citizens, are we abiding by the law, the same law that we are, as a country? So in this case, it is a high time that if there are loopholes in our Constitution, the 2010 Constitution, let us look at it again critically and say, His Excellency could not do this because there is this impediment that is in our Constitution, which must be put straight.
Yes.
But before that one is done, we must stick to the Constitution.
Absolutely. But you've talked about issues to do with integrity and how the president read the whole thing. And of course, some of these judges, as you've correctly put it, have some impending cases in courts that is now running for 2 years now. We are going to be discussing that and how it's going to be affecting and whether these judges, should they now quit now that they have got integrity issues. We are taking a short break, but when we come back, we have got more lined up after the break. Joseph Simekha, David Matsanga, and Dr. Joseph Rotich still with me here. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. You are right in time for what is affecting you in the country and, of course, across our borders. We are talking about issues, judiciary and the appointment of the judges, and some of them were left out by the president. We are talking about issues to do with integrity. Dr. Rotich said that the president, of course, in his stand said that some of the judges have got integrity issues. But the question is, if at all they have got integrity issues, does it now have an effect on the judges' performance in the corridors of justice? Let me talk to Dr. Matsanga. Dr. Matsanga, you had my question. How is it going to affect the judges' performance in the courts?
Thank you very much. Of the 6 judges,
Yes.
they cannot, if I were them, I would quit. I would just surrender and resign, go home. Because nobody in Kenya will ever trust them, even if they are brought back to the bench. That's point number 1. But let me go back to teaching today. Article 166, appointment of judges, chief justice, deputy chief justice, and the judges. 166 2C, and I want the Kenyans to put me on record. When you come to pray for me anywhere in the church when I'm going or I'm gone, quote me. Integrity, moral integrity, high moral character. That article says what? High moral character, impartiality, integrity. Let's teach each other these words. Suitability. The Constitution of Republic of Kenya is not written by Uhuru Kenyatta. It is not Uhuru Kenyatta who wrote the section. Uhuru Kenyatta was empowered under this section to look at the integrity, the high moral character, the integrity, the impartiality, the stability of these judges. There is nowhere here in 166 here, Wakenya Mujue, lawyers are allowing people to take people's money. That I will represent. How will you represent? Change this. Go back to parliament. Change this. Shall appoint does not mean you don't look at integrity, moral character, impartiality, suitability of a man you are appointing.
Yes.
That is the law of Commonwealth. I am a Commonwealth citizen. What will you tell me that I should not know Kenyan Constitution? Who are you?
So the
I come from a, no wait, I come from a Commonwealth.
So the president was right to leave the 6 judges out.
If he is looking through the list and he finds integrity, moral character is decayed, you are being looked by FBI, or you are a terrorist part of Al-Shabaab, you want Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint you? Tell me that Rotich, and then my friends tell me, Uhuru from morning up to evening. Where is it written that, Mr. President, when you find the moral character is dangerous, you still appoint?
Okay, all right.
Where?
Okay.
Show me.
Okay, let me talk to.
Show me, and wait. Show me.
No. Let's talk to Simekha now. Your time is up.
Yes.
Let me talk to Joseph Simekha here. Before that, let me just clarify here that the comments, views, and of course, the discussion that is taking place on this particular channel does not directly represent the views of KBC. It is the view of the panelist. All right.
That's my opinion.
Let's move on to Joseph Simekha. Simekha, the president here left 6 judges without appointment, and they have got integrity issues. And JSC said that their word is final, and the president's work is just to append his signature and to appoint. Once the whole process is done by the JSC, it is now the president's role to appoint. Do you think the president overstepped his mandate here, Joseph?
Thank you very much, Oloo. There's some words, and if I couldn't say anything else on this show,
yes,
I would only say these words that were said by Chief Justice Emeritus William Otunga.
Right.
Even the scum of this earth have got their rights. Even the scum of this earth have got their rights. I am a believer in due process. I believe the reason we have bestowed unto ourselves a constitution of the Republic of Kenya for the citizens of Kenya, laws, procedures, rules, traditions, etc., is because we wish to subject ourselves to that framework, what the framework that body provides. That we wish to have some predictability in the management of public affairs. That some powerful person does not rise up one morning and say that they've come across information that is that indicts Simekha or Matsanga's character, and that is believed. It could be true. It could actually be true that that person, because they have the power, they have unearthed some information that indicts my character or any other person's character. But please, can we subject it to due process on the basis of the framework, constitution, laws, rules, regulations, procedures, and traditions that we've set for ourselves. So while I wish how I wish I could give President Kenyatta full benefit of doubt, but I'm extremely reluctant to give him benefit of doubt because there's a process, there's a procedure. At the point when Judicial Service Commission was taking this, assessing the suitability, what Matsanga is talking about, suitability, integrity, and so on of these candidates for judgeship, the president had the ability to present this information. If it was a little too fast for him, let's assume it was a little too fast for him. He's a busy man, he has a busy office, and he came across this information. What would have been more difficult than appointing them and immediately instituting processes to remove them? It would have been cheaper on this republic than what the harrowing experience we've gone through. Some people may think that the people who are losing are those judges and 2 magistrates. The entire republic is losing. If you quantify this in terms of money, and it's beyond money, by the way, it will be we have lost a lot more than we would have lost if these judges would have been taken through tribunals. Only for the respect of processes. Can we please be respecter of processes? Can we please give everyone a benefit of doubt until we take them through due process to prove any allegations against them? I know that intelligence systems all over the world collect information, civil, criminal, on many persons, corporate and as well as individual. But if and when they want that information to be used in a criminal process, then it has to be used in the process according to the rules and procedures of that process. It should not be used just on the basis of discretion, in a discretionary manner. It should be used, that information, on the basis of the rules and procedures of that particular process. So my plea finally, is we are being unfair to those judges and 2 magistrates, even if they may have committed certain offenses unknown to us. Can we take them through a process so that they may know these offenses, we may know these offenses? I agree with one of the panelists who said, already what has happened will affect the perception of the public, who will want to go and appear before these judges and 2 magistrates who have been, something has been said about them. It's so unfair to them and to us, the citizens, who should be appearing before them.
Absolutely. And Dr. Rotich, no, Dr. Matsanga, I'll come back to you.
An interjection.
No, I'll come back to you, Dr. Matsanga, briefly. Dr. Rotich, what's your take on that, based on what the 2 gentlemen said?
I think I concur with Joseph Simekha.
Yes.
Totally. Because what he has said, we have a constitution in place. And the constitution that we have, the 2010 constitution, is binding for all of us. So the moment we go astray, the moment we deny to respect the process, that is the beginning of our downfall.
Yes.
So in this case, disrespecting the law is our undoing. Let us accept that there were integrity issues that this gentleman had.
Yes.
These people underwent through a process. They underwent through a process. They were interviewed for the same jobs that they are now being promised. And during this process, there was also a time to give the insight of individuals of these charges. The information that people had, the public were called upon to give their own information about the details of the individuals of these charges. They did that. At what level did we get this new information that later actually had to punish these people? Now I'm looking at Oloo. Let me just take myself like I'm Nguki, or I'm one of those 6 charges. I've been charged through the public opinion that I am corrupt, that I am. What will be the position before his children, position before his relatives, before the friends, and then before the eyes of the Republic of Kenya? So in this case, the court process also must vindicate these people of whatever has been mentioned about them. So in this case, what Simekha said, that this thing should have, what should have been done? The appointment should have been done to all of them, and then they revisit up the whole thing based on the new information about the individuals. So in this case, let me say to my friend, Kenya is a law-abiding nation. We have a constitution in place that our forefathers, this country fought for, the 2010 constitution. Now we are thinking about coming up with the PPI, improving on the 2010 constitution. Our constitution is undergoing the changes that will benefit Kenyans. So in this case, let us really apply to the letter what the constitution says. Then we shall not be, at loggerhead with anybody. Like now we have been saying this by our law, that what is happening in this country, there are a lot, the biggerings that are happening, the people talking freely the way they are talking, it is because of the kind of democracy that we have achieved but with a struggle. There were days when you could not mention anything. The next minute you will be in. But today, people are talking their minds because of the constitution that they have, that it has enhanced democracy. So in this case, Kenyans are more free a state than several years back. But so we will not go back to that level where we were.
But Doctor, don't you think Dr. Matsanga is right? It is integrity issues.
When you talk about the integrity issues, we are not denying about the integrity issues.
Yes.
What we are saying is the process under which it has been done. We are not protecting the 6 charges that they never committed the same. We don't know, but this one has to be vindicated by the law,
yes,
by the courts.
Yes.
So in this case, even them, they are very innocent until proven guilty.
Okay.
So today, they are also asking, which are these issues, which are these integrity issues? And somebody who reported that these guys had integrity issues, they will have to go to court to prove to courts that this is the position of these judges.
Okay.
And that is the way to go. So the law, we must remain as law-abiding citizens at all levels of our government.
Let me bring in Dr. Matsanga. Dr. Matsanga, before I bring you in, one gentleman, Dr. Magari, who is Gikenyi, who is a doctor, has filed a petition in the courts saying that he urges that since the Constitution does not envisage a situation where the president would decline to appoint judges recommended by the JSC and has no powers to reject any appointees, the 6 judges should be deemed as fully appointed, gazetted, and to be sworn in. Daktari, your take. Your take.
Thank you very much, and I will be very calm.
Kindly.
There is nowhere, Dr. Rotich and Simekha, where it is written that the president has to submit any information to the JSC. The Constitution of Republic of Kenya to see is very clear. President, forget about the process has been done. So I studied constitutionalism, telling me the process already has been done. The judges have been selected. The Article 166 now empowers the president to appoint. But before the president appoints, he has to look at the moral high character, integrity, impartiality, suitability. Don't blame the president. Even that doctor who filed, he better does the medical work than filing something which is shallow. The president has nothing to do with the process down there. The president is covered under Article 166. When the thing arrives to him, he cannot go to JSC and interfere. He waits until the document arrives to his desk and then looks at each judge's integrity, impartiality, moral character, and stability. Anybody who has read in constitutionalism on earth will tell you that that is what Article 166 Victor was put there.
Okay.
Otherwise,
okay, Doctor,
otherwise they would have only said Victor.
AC performance during the vetting of these 6 of all the judges and magistrates is in doubt.
Yes.
Now that the president,
yes.
The president.
Now, my brother and the fellow Africans on the continent of Africa, you don't blame Uhuru Kenyatta. Whom do you blame? The chairman of JSC. Whom do you blame? The JSC. You don't blame Uhuru Kenyatta. He did not write the Constitution. Uhuru Kenyatta is not involved in the selection. Uhuru Kenyatta is involved in appointment, and while under Article 166 2C, and you will see lawyers very soon arguing about it. 2C, Uhuru Kenyatta goes to look for moral character, and he gets Simekha is the anti-corruption crusader against anybody in Kenya who steals money. Yes, that's good character. He looks for Dr. Rotich. He's ever smiling economist who is very good, who has even brought a model that has served Africa. Very good. That is how. Let's teach these guys. Let's teach constitutionalism. Don't say you are blaming Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's blame the Parliament of Kenya, the framers of the under 2C. Even if you see a wizard among the list, justice sign, they have not said it expressly. They haven't said it is here. I want every Kenyan to have a copy to read Article 166 under 2C. You will see that Uhuru Kenyatta should not be condemned. Uhuru Kenyatta also used Article 166 to look at the judges. He is entitled. He is entitled by the Constitution.
All right.
Okay. So he looked at the title, as I finished, he looked at the Article 166 2C, looked at high moral character. 1. 2, integrity of the judges.
Right.
2.
Yes.
3, impartiality of the judges. 4, suitability. Then you put signature. So that's where the president is. It is not him, it is the law. So let's blame the JSC under Maraga. That brought us wrong problems. And the parliament does not
this
law. Thank you.
Fair enough. Asante. Now, let me come to you, Simekha, and just put it this way. Now, the matter is still active in court, and of course, we are yet to see how it's going to, pan out. We have got so many petitions. This is a third petition after this, Doctor. We have got 2 petitions against the president and the courts to make sure that the 6 judges are gazetted and also promoted. So, Dr. Simekha, Joseph Simekha, let me ask you, what's your prediction moving forward? Is the president is he likely to bend to the pressure?
Thank you, Oloo. I mean, if you are looking at me, you may have seen me really agonizing because of my worry that some of your viewers may believe parts of what Dr. Matsanga has said with tremendous respect to him and his view. There's a reason the composition of the Judicial Service Commission includes the Attorney General.
Yes.
The Attorney General is the chief legal advisor to the government. In fact, the first person he or she advises is the President of the Republic. That's the entire state law office, Attorney General, solicitor, and so on. President has access to them, and that's why the AG represents the president directly, represents the executive directly in the Judicial Service Commission. So therefore, if there are any issues that the executive or the president in person wishes to raise, those issues should have been raised by the Attorney General. And I believe the proceedings of the Judicial Service Commission are not confidential. They are public records to which Kenyans are entitled. This is why even the judges themselves and the 2 magistrates are saying, bring it out. Whatever you have against us, make it public. I think they're even waiving their right to privacy, personal privacy, protection of their privacy. They are pleading, they are saying, they are demanding, bring it out. The Attorney General and the President failed this republic by not bringing these things up during the process of vetting. Now, what you say about whether the President is bound, the court cases, the court orders, whether he's going to yield to the pressure, from President, from recent history, from 2013 to date, he is unlikely. He, as a president, has defied so many court orders, including court orders on this very particular issue. You know what, Oloo? When you get a court order against you, even if that court order is defective, even if you believe that the judges erred in law, they got it wrong in law, that is defective, for as long as it is in force, it doesn't matter how much you hate those judges, doesn't matter how much you feel it affects your interest, for as long as a court order is in force, even if it's a defective one, like some of us thought about the one that was trying to stop Philomena Mwilu from acting as a Chief Justice, you obey it until a court of law lifts it, until it's suspended, overturned, and so on and so forth. But we still have valid court orders That is why I'm fighting a war here in Vihiga. We have a rogue governor who completely disobeys court orders. And I believe he follows the example of the president disobeying court orders. A judge makes a court order. You may not like that judge. You may not even believe that court order is lawful, rather it's merited. But you must first obey it and then go through the same judicial process to get it lifted, suspended, or overturned. So going forward, where we are headed, he is unlikely to obey any other court order because he has shown us a history of disobedience of court orders from 2013 to date. Just imagine, please just imagine this one thing.
Yes.
By the time Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were running for office, they had been formally indicted for crimes against humanity by an international court that Matsanga doesn't like. But never mind, it's an international court that Kenya recognized.
There we go.
Just listen, its integrity demands you listen to me. They had been indicted by an international court. But guess what? They went ahead and ran as candidates for the highest two offices in this republic. Their indictment was based on information that was made available to them. Supposing this court were to hide this information from them and then indict them and make it public that they have integrity issues, why can't they just respect due process? Even if these people, whatever they have done, due process.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Gentlemen, director says that I have got only 5 minutes to wind up this one, but we have got so much to talk about. And Dr. Matsanga here, there is, let's just talk about Simekha. You have been, a lot is happening down there in Vihiga County. And according to the information we have is that 55,000 signatures so far collected to push to dissolve the county government of Vihiga. And you have been directly mentioned in this case as one of the pushers of this particular drive. I don't know how you're going to respond to it because only 27,241 signatures were needed to petition the president to dissolve the county government. To give you a chance on a national television, how do you defend your position in this? Joseph Simekha.
Thank you very much. First of all, is just to correct suspension of county, the governor, deputy, and the executive, as well as MCS. They get suspended from office. They are put on half pay as the matter is investigated. Yes, I want to confirm it is true. I'm one of the promoters. It is a citizens' initiative. Thousands of citizens, tens of thousands of citizens of Vihiga who are pushing for the suspension of a rogue governor, his executive, and rogue MCS. We have charges which we are, it's in public knowledge now. We've put out there a detailed case statement of the facts of the accusations against the county government and MCS. And among these facts, if I just give you one example, is 15 court cases, 15, no less than 15. We have many more, but we've put in the statement 15, where the governor has disobeyed court orders. And as a result, the county government is accumulating huge penalties from charges from the court, orders from the court. In one example, for payment of health workers, the bill has gone in excess of 600 million Kenya shillings, and he continues to defy. So basically, we most likely have an insolvent county government, and that is why we are pushing that it has to be suspended.
All right. Simekha, just before you continue, Dr. Matsanga is on my ears saying, I think he's itching somewhere. Dr. Matsanga, I don't know what's burning.
What is burning me?
Yes.
Is primitive activism.
Okay.
Primitive activism that is going to destroy Kenya.
Okay.
Not that there is no corruption. Yes, there is corruption. But if we follow primitive activism, that everything that Simekha does, we should.
That's a cruel word.
It's not cruel. It is a very good English language. primitive activism. Okay, let me say, I don't want to say shallow activism. Primitive. Not because Simekha does not know his role. He has done very well. And on this television, I told you that when Simekha goes in hiding in Vihiga, there is something is cooking. I told you. You remember when we did play your clips, I had already received intelligence that Mr. Simekha was out to bring Mr. Otekiro down. Not because that, not that the Simekha is wrong. No, there are so many crimes amongst the people of Vihiga. But their time is very of essence, in your approach. 1.5 years left for the governors to be in office. The government could be suspended. The president could decide to dissolve. But there is no president in 1.5 years who is doing a BBI to battle to bring devolution home, who is going to spoil that lining. Simekha was right. Is his right? The procedure like a JSC had the right, and the president could not interfere in the JSC. Now, here he is saying he has a right to collect signatures. Nobody interfered with him. President also waited until people arrived in his house. So now I've clearly finished Simekha on that. But I agree with him. He has been one of the few activists who have given me hard time. Every time I meet him on television and in the arguments, he has his views, and his views on corruption, I like them. He hates corruption.
Doctor?
Simekha hates corruption like I hate corruption.
Thank you.
Mr. Otekiro has done something wrong. He has corruptly taken people's money in Vihiga. Let him stand for it. Brother, I support you. But if he has not done anything, I believe next time, Victor Oloo, bring the supporters of Otekiro. See, some of us will give space and allow Simekha with them. Let them sort it out on national television. But at the moment, if there is any evidence, I agree. And
yes.
Dr. Rotich, I want you also to support me on this. I support you every day on this. If there is corruption, charges,
all right.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a break. Dr. Rotich, I'll be back with you in studio. And of course, Joseph Simekha, you will tell us whether it is primitive activism or you're just doing a job. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back with more. This is People and Politics on KBC Channel 1. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. You are still watching People and Politics on KBC Channel 1. Of course, my name is Victor Oloo. Please send in your questions, requests, and of course your comments, and I'll be sampling them towards the tail end of the program. With me still is Dr. David Matsanga via Zoom. I've got Joseph Rotich also joining me via Zoom, as well as Dr. Joseph Rotich here with me in studio. So, excuse me. Rotich, you've heard how the two gentlemen have been talking about the issue of integrity, which also trickles down to the county government. And sharp focus is on Vihiga County with Joseph Simekha here with us as well, being on the crossroads, quite literally here on this one. What's your take?
The issue of Vihiga,
yes,
I can say it is a unique issue. especially in this discussion.
How?
Because, it has not come out very, very openly nationally as to what could be cooking up in Vihiga. But if the people of Vihiga have credible evidence as to the issues to do with the corruption, to the issues to do with the abuse of office, they have got every right to follow the due process that they are doing now by collecting the signatures and doing it, because finally the court will prove or will approve them or disapprove them. What is simmering there is actually people are already discontented. People are already fed up with some of the issues that they are encountering almost on their daily basis. Their lives have been affected because of the progress of the economic, social, and progresses that are not felt in the county government. So it is upon the people of Vihiga to stand up among themselves, raise up their issues to be heard, and they should follow procedure. I mean, they should follow the law. What does the law stipulate about such kind of processes? So in this case, what my brother Joseph Simekha is actually saying is very right on the ground, that he comes from the same place. Lucky enough, is one of our analysts. So in this case, I fully concur with him, and what I'm only asking him is to follow the due process, and then in the end, we shall know who was right.
Okay. Joseph Simekha, let me ask you this question. With the signatures in place, attention is now on President Uhuru Kenyatta to act. How confident are you on this process?
Thank you very much. First of all, you know, this little book that Dr. Matsanga likes to wave on this show, and this is the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
Right.
It can be used or applied selectively. That on one side you are quoting one article and saying article this and that. And then on another side, when citizens from a county like Vihiga are using the same constitution that provides for the suspension of a county government on the basis of certain provisions and the County Governments Act, when they are using it, you can dare suggest that what they are doing is wrong. I just want to tell you, Oloo, and our viewers, that the president will act. By the way, we could have stopped about a week ago when we had 42,000 plus signatures, and we wanted, in fact, to close by Friday last week. But the pressure has been tremendous from citizens that we must give them time to also participate. We have received calls and invitations for meetings with the professionals union, health workers unions, teachers unions, administrators across the county, women's groups, community initiatives. There are leaders calling and saying, please don't close. We also share this grievance. We want to sign. That is why we couldn't close this thing on Friday last week. So besides looking at the minimum number of signatures required, the county government, the citizens of Vihiga County want to send a powerful statement to Uhuru Kenyatta and the rest of the nation. We want to send as many as close to 100,000 signatures, so that the president knows that we mean business when we say suspend this county government immediately, and please go through due process so that we ascertain. I like what Rotich is saying, and thank you, Rotich. Due process. We are following the process so far. Let's go due process to have an investigation to ascertain the allegations we are making. Very serious evidence-based allegations. And sometimes we like to say a thief has 40 days.
Yes.
When you find a thief red-handed stealing, will you stop and say, today is the 38th day, let us give him 2 more days to steal, and then we deal with him on the 40th day?
Okay, okay. Simekha, let me ask you.
Like Matsanga advancing, it doesn't matter, even if it's 6 months to elections. When we find a thief stealing, we stop him right there.
Okay, Simekha, let me ask you this question. You are chairing the Vihiga Political Action Caucus.
Yes.
The question here is this an ODM affair? Is this a silent ODM affair to kick out Governor Rotich?
Thank you very much for that question. Extremely important. Not at all. This is a multi-partisan initiative.
Okay, what involved?
Not even bipartisan, multi-partisan across people who are supporting Governor Rotich. Is the county chair of ODM.
Yes.
Because he's a beneficiary in what we are trying to fight. So ODM at the local level is fighting us, not fighting Simekha, but fighting us, the citizens of Vihiga, who are pushing for this initiative for a cleaner, effective county government. But ODM at national level has not fought us, has not attacked us, has not made any comment that we know of. I believe they've left it to the people of Vihiga, as Rotich said, to do what they think is their rightful, fair, due process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Matsanga, you've heard what Simekha has talked about. You said that Otichilo is not going anywhere. It's just a few months to an election.
I think I don't want to be a man who thinks like the court, who thinks like Emperor Nero. I don't want to say Rome, fire, 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 then fire comes to take down Rome. I want my friends Rotich, Dr. Rotich and Simekha to know I have not refused anybody to follow the due process. But I have said each article in this constitution is made for a particular time at a particular place and the execution of a particular engagement. If it is Article 166, it is where the president will come. The same article that removes Otichilo empowers the people of Vihiga to collect signatures. The president now cannot run into Vihiga and stop those signatures. Have you seen what I was telling you, Victor? That Mr. Simekha contradicts himself on the court. Then he now says there is no way, asking that the president cannot come to Vihiga to say, don't bring me the signatures. Just as the president cannot go to JSC to say, this is what I want you to do. No, he waits until your petition arrives in the State House. Point number 2, I fight corruption. That's why I fought ICC and Ocampo for being corrupt. And I won. Fatou Bensouda is leaving on Monday. I won. I am taking them on. For your information, Simekha and Dr. Rotich, after they have left the office on Monday, I have papers already in all the baby.
Talk about Vihiga.
No, okay. Let's focus.
I am saying you also talked about ICC. Did I stop you?
No.
You talked about the integrity. Okay, integrity of the president and the deputy when they were charged. Did I stop you?
Yes.
But let me tell you, I have told you my interest. Mr. Otichilo is my friend. I'm not going to come on national television, condemn him when I have not seen the evidence. Again, also, it's true that now the judges have been sent away or refused. The state or the president has to produce that evidence to the courts. I agree with you. And I'm with you on the question of corruption. Anybody touching taxpayers' money, anybody eating people's money when Africa is not poor, but Africa is poor because of corruption. Gentlemen, I agree with you. Take him down, lock him to committee, lock him to Luzira, lock him anywhere where there is a prison. Let him not stay among you. Because Africa is not poor. It is the corruption that has made us poor. And therefore, if someone is eating money there, haki ya Mungu aende.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Let me, Joseph, before I come to you, let me just come to Dr. Rotich in studio. The pushers of this kind of petition is now, they're not trying to, drive so that they can bring ODM to intervene, so that at the end of the day, it doesn't go to the president's table. Because once it gets to the president's table, then the next action is either to dissolve the county government or otherwise. Simekha here is one of the initiators of this drive. And, ODM is also put on the crossroad. What do you think is going to happen to Raila Odinga's party in this?
I think looking by it, this is a this will be
right.
And you see, when we are talking about the governor of Vihiga, we are talking about a politician. When we are talking about most of the people who are actually spearheading the accusations, some of them could be politicians, some of them could be very genuine citizens. So in this case, I think they can only arrive at the consensus because as an ODM party, I don't think they condone corruption, even at the highest hierarchy level.
Yes.
And they will also come down and do their own investigation as a party to ascertain whether what is actually cooking on the ground or what is being said about their leader. Is it actually these are genuine reasons or it is just politics? So they will have to ascertain out of investigation. That is why you see my friend Simekha is saying, what we are doing, we are following a due process. And due process means also investigation. And investigation is done by credible agencies. Talk of the Office of the Auditor General, talk of even private auditors, so who will come up with credible evidence as to what is really happening up in Vihiga. So in this case, it will not be a blanketed kind of thing. You cannot call it politics just because it is spoken by many people or some politicians. We have also looked at the facts on the ground as revealed in the books of the county government. So in this case, that is why we were saying the due process means it is a process that is involving, a process that is inclusive, a process that is involving the technocrats of the county government. So in this case, I'm very happy, Oloo, when people take initiative. When you talk about collection of signatures, and you talk of several bodies, professionals, NGOs, such like other, even some government departments come and say, yes, we have witnessed this. So these are not things that you can just whisk away. These are things that you must look at it very critically and allow the due process to continue. In the end, we shall get the answer.
Okay. The question here is that, let me just bring in Simekha. Simekha, the branch party executive committee chaired by Zebedi Osabwa has said that you've been having some clandestine meetings in the county and portraying the governor as a non-performing governor. The question somebody is asking is that, are you eyeing for a political seat in Vihiga County?
Non-performing governor. The question somebody is asking is that, are you eyeing for a political seat in Vihiga County?
Okay, we are having that challenge. We'll get to all right, we are going to get that sorted out briefly and talk to. All right, Simekha, thank you. The question here is that you have been having a clandestine meeting in the county, and some people have been accusing you. Such a person is branch party executive direct committee chair, that is Bedi Osabwa, who says that you've been having clandestine meetings in the county. Are you by any chance planning for any political seat in the county?
Planning for
Okay, I've heard you
right.
Your audio is not very good, but I have heard your question.
You can hear me?
I had your question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, let me just respond to it. First of all, Zebedi Osabwa, unfortunately, I'm afraid that he just may not have capacity to understand the meaning of clandestine. Maybe he doesn't even understand the meaning of meetings. I have had many meetings with many people in the county of Vihiga, public, open meetings, day and night. None of them are against the law. None of them are clandestine. So the person who is making that allegation, Zebedi Osabwa, has such limited capacity, I don't think he understands the difference between clandestine or otherwise. But on whether I am eyeing a political position or not, first of all, why not? Whether I am eyeing a political position in the county or not, an elective position that is, it doesn't suspend my rights as a citizen of Vihiga. It does not suspend my right to demand accountability from rogue MCS, from a rogue governor, and now from a rogue ODM leadership in the county. It does not. It does not suspend my right to join up with other citizens of Vihiga from other political parties as well, different from mine as well, to demand that we must have a clean county government, and anyone who's contravened the constitution, gross violation of the law and the constitution, must be sent home, and that's what we are doing. Listen, Oloo, even if I'm looking to vie for a political position in the county, the health workers of Vihiga County who now have not been paid for 21 months, don't care whether Simekha wants to run for this position or the other. They want that public accountability. The woman whose mother died and was not attended to, she had to pull the body to the roadside to attract attention to get help. She does not care what Simekha is vying for. The woman who died because there was no ICU facility in Vihiga, when the governor alleged to have launched one, she died. Whether Simekha is vying for any position, and yes, I will vie for the position of senator. But for now, that is not in this equation. For now, I'm a citizen of Vihiga fighting for accountability for my county, for the good of my county.
Dr. Matsanga, directs to you. You are taking that.
Thank you very much. The guy has declared his interest. I knew it. And I told you much earlier, Mr.
How did you know it, Dr.? How did you know it? He's just saying it now. I also didn't know about it.
I'm a lawyer, and I understand the politics.
Come on.
Of the lawyer. Yeah, honestly. I'm a lawyer. And I'm a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm the original lawyer where they come from. So I understand.
But he didn't tell you. He's just declared his interest right now, but he said right now he's a citizen.
I knew. You know, Oloo, I told you primitive activism is very dangerous.
Okay.
And you can see someone from Vihiga is now citing the question of primitive activism, who is accusing.
So what is the take on what he said?
What he said is,
yes,
if it doesn't matter whether you are a commoner or an elite, and the Kenyans are misusing this word Wanjiku. Is there anybody who is not Wanjiku here? Who is Wanjiku? Has your constitution told you who is Wanjiku? Kenyatta could be Wanjiku. Ruto could be Wanjiku. Or Atieno, or Otieno, or Makuyu, or Kamau. Wanjiku does, a citizen is Wanjiku. Let's get this very clear. So Wanjiku in Vihiga can take up action, whether you are high or low. So you can see now we are coming down to the real reality. Why do you stop Simekha? Because he's a elite class to go and get signatures. Why? You shouldn't. Just as you cannot stop Raila or you cannot stop Uhuru, they are also Wanjiku. They are citizens of Kenya. They see what is going on in Kenya. Mr. Simekha sees what is going on in Vihiga. Why do you want to stop him from collecting signatures? You want to wait for Jesus to resurrect, come for the third time, then you collect the signatures? So, Victor, this is very interesting. That today the people who condemn Raila Amolo Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta for collecting signatures, today they are very happy for Mr. Simekha, who is not Wanjiku, but who is Wanjiku. Look at his background. The house is not like the one in Vihiga town or somewhere of Naliaka or Nahume or Nahune in Vihiga. It's not, but he's collecting signatures. Now, why do you blame Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga for having collected signatures to save a situation? So for me, I want first to applaud Simekha. Brother, when you see corruption, don't wait. Because tomorrow it could be you.
Yeah,
it could be, it will come on your doorstep. You did a good step. But now give time to Rotich also to defend himself when it comes to his defense. Don't call him rogue. You have already taken him to the city mortuary before he even resurrects. Please, just call him governor. Don't call him wrong, because you have not already sentenced him.
Okay,
Please,
thank you.
but I accept with you that you have been doing a very good job. Do it very nicely. There is no Wanjiku. There is no elite. There is only Wanjiku everywhere. A citizen is Wanjiku. Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga.
Thank you,
are
Daktari.
Wanjiku.
Thank you, Daktari. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Matsanga. Let me talk to Dr. Rotich here. Dr. Rotich, the common
Town in Vihiga is yearning for service delivery. Okay, at this time of the year, people are gearing towards an election, and everybody's looking for, to get service delivered before next general election. And politicians will always be politicians. What do you think is going to be? Do you think the governor is going to be, cut in between handling the political issues and serving the Mwananchi, as Simekha is also busy, and his team to kick out the governor out?
If we have to go by Simekha's version of what's happening actually in Vihiga,
yes,
it means that a lot of things have not been happening. So we cannot say the services that the county government of Vihiga has been offering to the citizens has been cut off. There is nothing that has been cut off, because what the people are complaining of is the rampant losses, that they have lost a lot of their funds through corruption. Yes. So in this case, if it is stopped today, it is the best thing that one can do.
Yes.
Why I'm saying that, Mr. Oloo, we are now doing a budget. That means the last budget, that is the 2021-2022. And in this budget, the money, we have the money for Vihiga in this budget. So if corruption has been witnessed for the last over 4 years, can the Vihiga people wait to see this money that is almost landing in their account,
yes,
going to the same trench that the others went? So in this case, there is no time limit for raising a case. Every time, because these are public services. Like now, he has said that about 21 months. The doctors have never been paid, the nurses have never been paid, and there are so many other complaints. He has not talked about the projects that are are stalled because of lack of funds. They have not talked about the people who have not paid the pending bills that the county is experiencing. There are people who did work to the county government and they have not been paid to date. Some of them have died waiting for their money. So in this case, there are a lot of things. So if it will be possible, if it will have been possible that if such allegations are true, and then stopping it by yesterday, it would have been the best thing that one could do.
Absolutely. Okay. Gentlemen, Dr. Rotich, Dr. Simekha, forget, all right, to give you just a chance to finish up this one, because we are now stuck of time and we just need to wind up. Probably as the mover of this kind of petition, what is your last take? Let me give you that chance. Simekha.
My last take is that many citizens in many counties of this republic are complaining, whining every day because of the failure of the governance and political system, because of corruption and pilferage by governors and MCAs and MPs and senators. But nothing is happening because they think that they are too powerless to do anything. Now, we need to shift the power matrix. We need to shift the power away from the politicians and the bureaucrats and their cousins in the rogue private sector to citizens. Yes. And the Constitution gives us that mandate. This is what the people of Vihiga are doing. We are changing the conversation. We are shifting the power. Not even our political party can dictate to us. It's about our interests in Vihiga County as citizens first. And I encourage every citizen of this republic, it is about your interest first. Let us act together to shift the balance of power into the hands of the citizen. That is what we are going to do, Oloo. Very soon, in the next week or so, the committee will decide. We will make it very public as we take about 100,000 signatures to President Uhuru with our petition to suspend the county government of Vihiga using a very civil, lawful, constitutional process, as Rotich has rightly pointed out there.
Okay.
Every citizen who, instead of complaining and whining and saying, let him watch Amaliza end, let him finish and go. No, even on the 38th day, a thief has to be stopped. And you stop a thief using due process and using facts, not on whims, not on arbitrarily, but using due process, facts, and the procedure provided for in law and in the Constitution. That is what we are up to in Vihiga County.
All right. One thing for sure is that we'll also try and get the Vihiga governor, that is Wilbur Otilo, to also put his word on the ground now that it's this issue and this case is affecting him directly and his government. Briefly, as Dr. Matsanga, if you can hear me, your last word as we wind up in 1 minute, please.
My last word is Africa is moving towards regime change. The regime change mechanisms in Africa must be stopped by us following our own conscience. If you have committed something that you feel is not in line, and if you feel there is a problem, just step aside. Just go. Don't allow Simekha to draw you out. Don't allow Simekha to smoke you. Just leave. Africa is facing that challenge. And one of the biggest challenges that it faces today, as you see many of these African countries, Victor, all of them have the same problems of Simekha and Rotich. Bigger than those. That makes people in Mali, in where it comes, in a military coup. That makes George Soros enter to pay people to remove governments. Let's stop that wind of removing our own Africans, replacing them with neo-colonial methods that are coming. I see that coming. Let's pray that it doesn't. And remember, Exodus 3, chapter 12. Read it, Simekha. You might forgive Otilo. Read it, Dr. Rotich. We are all members of one party, but we might not see each other eye to eye. But time is coming when we should not blame God. God is with us all the time, and He always helps us to get this problem. Thank you.
That's a better way to finish. And before just we close, maybe Dr. Rotich give you.
Thank you so much, Oloo. I think we have discussed a number of things, Oloo, that touched various parts of our discussions. Right. And I want to say I'm so grateful to my brothers who have actually contributed. But there's one thing I want to say, and I want to tell our nation. I think I would wish this nation remains to be a law-abiding nation. We have our 2010 Constitution that was promulgated. And we have also improvements that are yet to be made, maybe through PPI. But the most important thing, Oloo, and we have a great nation to cut. We have our people to move on. We have made a lot of strides as a country. And I would wish to urge the three arms of government to exercise a lot of restraint and respect one another. They must be able to listen to one another. They must be able to talk to one another, so that we have a nation that is united, where judiciary plays its key role, where the legislature plays its key independent role, where the executive exercise their powers to the benefit of this great nation. So may God really bless us, that art of living together should be exercised by all and sundry, so that we can be a nation that will cherish to be a nation.
Absolutely. Okay. That is, I think, the best time to call it a wrap on this particular show. We have no, Daktari, time is over. Time is over. Thank you, Dr. Matsanga. Absolutely. It's always amazing to have these three gentlemen in studio. I mean, every Tuesday morning. There is no better way to get this kind of a show every Tuesday morning. Gentlemen, I have Dr. David Matsanga with me via Zoom, and I have we have got, for now, I will call you Dr. Joseph Simekha. That is my own title given to you. Thank you.
He's reading for his PhD.
Oh, yeah, sure. So he's soon becoming a
Yes,
doctor.
sir.
I'm right.
I'm right.
I have run intelligence on him very well.
Oh,
He's
okay,
reading.
okay. That is Dr. David Matsanga, Joseph Simekha from Vihiga, join me by Zoom, as well as Dr.
Joseph Rotich here with me in studio. Gentlemen, always a pleasure having you every Tuesday morning to discuss matters affecting our nation and, of course, how we can have a solution to them. My name is Victor Oloo. You have been watching KBC Channel 1, People and Politics, and just a disclaimer that the comments and matters that have been talked about here does not represent that comment of KBC, neither do they represent me as an individual. Remember, good people always wake up and do what they did not do well yesterday, they do it today to make it better. Have a good day. My name is Victor Oloo. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.